Welcome back to Remade in California, where we talk about everything from the economy and business to education. Joining us now is Josh Friedman. Josh, drones are fascinating and seem to be exploding. Tell me about where the industry is.
Well, we're actually at an amazing time. Somebody said recently that we're kind of like at the Model T Ford stage of the automobile industry.
Right.
We're just approaching that stage now, which is we are going to be seeing drones as a part of our everyday lives. And most of the functions that they're going to have in the future don't even exist today.
That's amazing. That's amazing. How did you get started with drones?
Well, I own a video production company, and about 4 years ago, I just started to get kind of fascinated with the ability to get that shot from above without having to hire a helicopter or with excessive needs for a dolly system. And the first DJI Phantom drones were just kind of coming out onto the market, and we got one.
This is the type? Or
this is a newer model of that.
Okay, so the smaller, this being the bigger.
Yeah, it's more kind of the prosumer and the professional versions.
Okay.
But yeah, they just started coming out, and I was fascinated by the ability to get that shot. And it's just, to think that it would turn into an entire lifestyle when it's become at this point, you know.
Well, what was the connection? What really appealed to you? Was it the mechanics of it? Was it?
It's really just another way to get
aesthetic, getting the shot.
It's just another way to get a camera in the sky. Really, a lot of people just think of it.
But not everybody wants a camera in the sky. What made it personal to you in terms of what you were achieving artistically?
It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I think that's the bottom line. Is it's made our job a lot more exciting, a lot more interesting, and a lot of fun. It's similar to playing a video game, only instead of having a screen in front of you that's fake. You have a screen in front of you that's showing in real time what the drone is seeing.
Yeah. What are the advantages to using drones in some different industries?
Sure. Again, it's a less expensive way to get a shot from the sky. So that's one big advantage. An ideal setting would be shooting a car commercial if you want to show off the entire car dealership. Rather than flying in a helicopter and spending money on gas and such, you could easily bring the drone in and get that kind of shot. Establishing shots of a large building, for example. But then there's even the shot close down to the ground. So instead of having to bring in a dolly and a jib and a huge rig, this does all of that. So for the first time, we have a small platform that gives us the ability to minimize our equipment and still get really professional shots.
Well, and get places that you and I have done some video work together. You've shot inside a brewery warehouse, you know. I mean, so there's, people think in terms of large, way up in the sky, but there's also an ability to go up over things.
Many of the best shots are just about 8 to 15 feet off the ground.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So where is it all going? Where do you see this in 10 to 20 years?
Well, the statistic is that within the next 10 years, there's going to be 100,000 employed people in the drone industry.
Wow.
I believe it'll be more than that, to be honest with you, because when you think about the drone industry, it's a lot more than just flying cameras. You have the software engineers, you have the manufacturers, you have people who are using this for science, for technology, you have the engineers. There's, again, a lot of the uses in the agriculture industry are things that we don't even see happening right now.
That was an interesting one I hadn't even thought of.
These are going to be completely automated. You're automating entire farms.
Yeah.
So they'll be watching the crops and monitoring how much water needs to go on it. They're going to be controlling the machinery that's going to be plowing the fields. You're not going to need 30 people and 30 plows heading down a field anymore. You're going to have a drone controlling those plows.
And what are the steps people need to become what do you call it? You don't call it a pilot.
We are
operator?
pilots.
You're pilots, okay.
We are pilots in command.
Wow.
The official term is PIC.
Wow.
At this point, the FAA has very recently actually created a new drone pilot's license through law we're referring to as Part 107. So anybody 16 years of age and older can now take an exam with a lot of aviation material, way more information than you will ever need to fly a drone.
But still.
In order to be part of the airspace. Because we share that airspace with other types of pilots that fly other types of machines. This is just another aircraft in the sky, so the FAA now does have a drone pilot's license that's required to fly for commercial use.
If you're hiring a drone company, like your own or any place in the state, what do you want to ask somebody?
Good question.
Yeah.
My website is, no, I'm kidding.
No, we're going to show it at the end.
We'll get there. There are two types of legal operator certificates at the moment, and I call them certificates even though there's different terms for them. But one is the 333 exemption. This is now considered the older type. For the past 6-7 years, the only way to fly commercially legally was to have a 333 exemption. Okay, so my company has a 333 exemption.
Because the technology outpaced the
legal system.
the legal system.
Yeah, the laws are playing catch up, very much
Yeah.
so. As of August 29th, 2016, the Part 107 license is now the preferred method, and that will be assigned to a specific pilot or person.
Okay.
So as the 333s kind of fade out, there was a 2-year limit on the 333 exemption. The Part 107 will be, the majority of people flying commercially will have that license.
That's amazing. So you just need to check in and kind of find out if they've got the credentials.
Literally ask them for the paperwork.
Okay.
In addition to that, there's
because I know a lot of people can go down and buy one of these at Best Buy and like, oh, I'm in business.
Correct, and you can be
Yeah.
a hobbyist,
Okay.
and you have a different set of rules and laws that you can fly. It's a lot easier to fly as
Right.
a hobbyist, for
Right.
example, as long as you're not operating for
Yeah.
commercial use. But the final thing I would highly recommend looking into is, does the company or person have drone insurance?
Right.
So we have a specific policy, just drone liability insurance,
Okay.
just covering our aerial operations. It's not law required to have that, but it's very highly recommended to make sure that your person operating the drone has that insurance.
Are there many restrictions that the FAA has on these now?
The restrictions on them now are largely based on where you're flying, first
Okay.
of all. So you're limited to your airspace
Just
restrictions.
common sense safety issues, probably.
Right. So if you want to fly at an airport, believe it or not, you can, but you have to get a waiver.
Okay.
All right. In fact, if you're in Class B, C, D, or E airspace, you
Right.
have to get a waiver from the FAA in order to do so.
Right.
The other restrictions are very specific. So you're not allowed to fly at night
Right.
without a waiver. Again, so civil twilight, 30 minutes before or after
Okay.
sunrise and sunset. There's weight limitations as to what you're allowed to fly, setting at 0.55 pounds up to less than 55 pounds, and other specific rules based on safety for the most part.
So one of the things you had mentioned when we first talked, and I think it's so inspirational. I mean, we talk about careers. We talk about people getting into the career path, community colleges.
Mm-hmm.
These are jobs that didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So you're an example of somebody that couldn't have planned this.
Right.
So people
and
that
this
are
is-
in the system should go, you know what? There could be something coming that I have no idea is coming, and this could be the type of thing.
This is the reality of education today. I have a 1-year-old, and the job that my 1-year-old will have probably doesn't exist today.
There you go.
Most people who are training early in education now, the jobs that they're going to have are going to be future jobs.
Yeah.
So we need to train people to have the skills to adapt,
Yeah.
to learn software. The skills with this, I have to have video production and photography skills,
Right.
because there's a camera hanging on this, and I first and
Right.
foremost have to know how to operate that camera.
So this is the camera, right?
Correct. This is
Yeah.
the camera on this one
Okay.
here. Very similar to a GoPro.
And this one over
and that
here.
one is an actual DSLR, so I could take the lenses off, put the
Yeah.
lenses on, and you really have to understand the basics of photography. Aperture, ISO, shutter
Yeah.
speed, white balance is all
Right.
part of this. That should be a basic part of your knowledge prior to getting into imagery on a drone.
Yeah. Josh, thank you for joining us. This is fascinating and very inspirational. For more information on Josh and drones, visit his site at 10dm.com. For more information on how California's community colleges can help you be remade in California, go to doingwhatmatters.cccco.edu.